There is less than a week left in this transfer window for West Ham, and one thing is clear: we need a striker. Gianluca Scamacca obviously left the club to go to Atalanta. I know David Moyes said he wasn't too happy with that, but to be honest, I don't think he would have played him too often. I think his preferred striker is Antonio, and Antonio is someone who, again, has had quite a lot of, quite a lot of interest from other clubs, but he, I think, is staying at the club simply because we need the strikers. We've got Mubama coming through the ranks, who isn't quite ready for Premier League just yet. We've got obviously Antonio, who's our preferred striker, who's been our striker for years, and then also got Danny Ings, who, to be fair, he looks ready for this season. He's got the skinhead Rooney vibes. He looks, he has this sort of like coldness about him in training. So I do wonder if we're going to see maybe like a new Danny Ings this season, but he's an assured Premier League striker. But I think David Moyes wants to play with two up top. I think he also wants to play at five at the back. He wants to experiment with a few things. And I think that it's very clear West Ham want a striker, or at least a different type of striker this window. A couple of names I'm going to be mentioning. This is coming from X's section on Patreon. If you're not subscribed to the Patreon, link is down below. £5. It's great value. You get your podcasts, exclusive news, and there's a couple of fun little stuff on there as well. So do make sure to check that out, because that's where all my information and Mark's information comes from, straight from the mouth of X. So X has said that talks with En-Nesyri, who has been a very long-term target of David Moyes, have not really progressed well. We've looked at to exploit Sevilla's financial issues. So we have talked about a loan deal, but it is thought that Sevilla will want money now, essentially, because of their money troubles. They're also interested in Pablo Fornals, so whether he would make way to facilitate that move, we're not sure, because obviously it's quite early stages. But if we pay a fair bit up front, or if we pay like a £15 million fee up front, or some form of money up front, then we might be able to get En-Nesyri on a loan to buy. But at the moment, that is looking a little bit like it's stalling. It's not necessarily a move that is going to happen, I think. And we are looking at other players. And another player we're looking at is Hugo Ekitike of PSG. Obviously, we were interested in him before he made his big money move last summer, or the summer before that, I believe. Newcastle were also interested in him. He hasn't really worked out too well at PSG, and they're looking to basically not get rid of him per se, but loan him off, and we might get an obligation to buy him there. I think that's probably the idea of the striker. I think we want to get a loan to buy for the striker, not pay too much money. I think in one of David Moyes, so one of the things David Moyes has said is that he doesn't want to spend big money on another forward if they're going to struggle to adapt in England, because we spent the money on Scamacca, we spent the money on Haller. We spent big money on players and strikers in the past. They've come to England. They've not accustomed to the physicality of the game. They're not accustomed to how we play, and we've had to sell them on for pennies. So I don't mind this. I don't mind getting this loan situation in with an option to buy, trial them out in England. We've had so many strikers under David Sullivan that, I don't think it's a bad shout to try and get someone in and then see how they work out, and then just get them on an obligation. So I think that's actually quite a good way to look at it from David Moyes. You've then also got Gift Orban and Hugo Suyo. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that name. It's Cypers, I believe, or Kuiper. Yes, it's a tough one to pronounce, but they both are from Ghent. They both have very good goal scoring records. Orban is Nigerian. He's much younger forward. He got his breakthrough last year. He's got about 15 goals in 16 appearances, which I think is very, very good. And then Hugo scored something around like the 27 goals in 37 appearances. He's homegrown. He's Belgium, 26 years of age, so a little bit older. So they both got very good records in Belgium, and they would be a cheaper alternative to some of our strikers. It's very clear to see that David Moyes wants a big physical striker this summer. You got Ward-Prowse in the team. We also have got big physical centre-backs. Souček still remains in the team. He seemed part of the plan, signed a 4-year deal. David Moyes wants to build a strong, powerful team where we can be dangerous from set pieces. And I think a big physical forward would suit West Ham, because when we ping these long balls up into Antonio, yes, his hold-up play is good, but if he had a bigger body, if he was taller, he'd be able to win more balls, he'd be able to hold up the ball a little bit more. And also, we love to ping the ball into the box. So having a big physical striker in there, not to mention the fact that players like En-Nesyri and Hugo Ekitike are very, very good with the ball at their feet. They're very good at just shooting in general. I mean, you don't have to put it on their head. It just adds another aspect, another avenue to their game. So, we could definitely see that David Moyes is going for a big physical forward this summer. And it's not something he's got before, to be fair. I mean, yes, Scamacca was a tall player, but he didn't use his body like a tall player. He didn't, David Moyes assumed that because he was a tall player, you'd ping the ball into him, he'd head it in, and, that would be it. But he was, he loved the ball at his feet. He was actually quite an agile player for his height, and Haller was very similar. So, I think David Moyes needs to get his big physical forward. We know he likes these big physical players, and hopefully he will get that. Another player, outside shout, and he's not someone I want to mention too much, but West Ham have been linked with Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, I don't think this is going to happen at all, but he's on massive wages at Chelsea. They want to offload him. I can imagine him costing probably between 50 and 60 million pounds. But he is worth mentioning because we have been linked with him, and X has actually spoken about him before and said that, it could happen. I think that was what he said a couple of days ago, and it was about the press have obviously reported on it and said that West Ham could be interested, but I absolutely see no way we're going to spend that amount of money on a player who his attitude isn't necessarily great. I think you don't want to disturb the harmony of the squad. His wages would be incredible, his price would be incredible. I don't see that happening. Another player who I really don't think is worth mentioning and probably won't happen is Jonathan David. I know David Moyes is a big fan, and I know that there is potential for him to come to the club, but unfortunately, as far as he's concerned, I just don't see it happening. Spurs are interested in as well, and I just think that there are other options that David Moyes will go for. So I personally do not think that he's going to sign for West Ham. So just to summarise, we've got a deal in place, or we've explored a deal in place for En-Nesyri, loan with an option to buy. We're not sure that this is going to be the case because Sevilla need money now. They are interested in Pablo Fornal, so that could facilitate the move. We are also interested in Hugo Ekitike. We've explored him before. He's someone again that we believe we would get on a loan deal with either an obligation or a buy clause in the contract. We don't want to spend big money on players this summer. Romelu Lukaku linked with probably won't happen. Jonathan David linked with probably won't happen. And then you've also got the Gift Orban, who, I mean, I could see it, young Nigerian forward, lots of potential. Very similar to Antonio, I think, not that big physical forward necessarily that Moyes wants. And Hugo Suppers of Ghent, again, that's somebody that I think I could see happening. He's a Belgian forward. We have explored that market before, and it hasn't necessarily worked out too well for us. So, maybe we want to go for more assured, experienced striker. But those are the names we're being linked with this window. We have just 6 days to get our signings through the doors. Kudus, of course, hopefully should be concluded. This is being recorded Friday morning, so hopefully this should be Kudus should be concluded very, very soon, and we'll moving our attention on to a striker.